I'm Bree.
And I'm Hannah.
We met through our shared obsession with romance and fantasy novels.
And honestly, we haven't stopped talking about books since.
Each week, we're sharing what we're reading, sharing our opinions,
and spilling all the tea about our lives.
So whether you're here for book recs, hot takes, or you just want to hang out with us for a bit,
you're in the right place. We're also talking about life, sharing our highs and lows,
and having the kind of conversations we'd have over margaritas.
Welcome to Chapter Chats. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter Chats.
Welcome back for us, because I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've actually recorded. We were really good there for a minute, and then we took a long break. But now, we're back in the swing of things.
So, to kick us off, today we're going to be talking about our favorite literary worlds. But before we get into that, Bree, do you want to share your high and low of this week?
Sure. My high is that in the last couple episodes, or in episodes in the last couple months, I've talked about how I am buying a house. And this next week, I have my pre-construction meeting. So we go and meet with like the construction manager, and he just kind of gives me all the ins and outs of what they're doing. And I stand in the dirt pile that will one day be my house. So really exciting things. I can't wait. I'm super excited about it.
And you said it's targeted to end or like be done by the end of like summer. So it's
it should be
quick.
I think the end completion date estimation right now is like July 25th.
So, okay. Nice.
Yeah. So very exciting. And then my low is just people. I'm not a people person. People have been getting me lately, trying to channel the love of the Lord, and it is not easy.
One of those weeks.
Yeah.
Mine, I have talked similarly for the last couple of weeks about my back injury. I drove my car for the first time yesterday in almost 2 months. I probably could have driven it sooner, but I work almost entirely remotely right now, and my husband gets sent out to do most of our errands, so I haven't had much of a reason to drive, but it was nice to go somewhere where I wasn't being like chaperoned.
Independence.
Yes, and I didn't go far. I just went to Starbucks and then my parents' house, which is very close to me. So it wasn't, a big road trip or anything, but nice to get some fresh air. Yes. My low, this is kind of a general one to Bree's people. Mine is just money. I feel like we're in a very good financial spot as far as like paying down debts and stuff, but it just takes forever. And I am not going to feel like we're in a good spot until things are all paid off, which includes my student loans, which will probably take me a long time to pay off. So we're just out here. And I'm very blessed. We're like doing well. It just doesn't feel like it all the time when I'm like, wow, at least like 90% of our paychecks are just going towards various expenses. So that's fun.
My student loans have been on deferment forever because they were on the Biden plan or whatever that's now going away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start paying my student loans.
Same. And I've still been throwing money at them because even though they're, like deferred or whatever, they're generating interest. So I was trying to like pay enough to keep that off, or at least like not make it worse.
I was kind of like, whatever interest I generate in the next year is really not going to be that much compared to what I already owe. So I'm going to pay off my other bills instead, which may or may not be a good idea. We'll see. But
I think
like now I got to pay it. So
you're doing like purely on math, whatever has highest interest rates should get paid off first, which is probably not your student loans. So,
and I do work for the government. So supposedly after 10 years, it'll be forgiven anyway.
Right.
I haven't done any of the paperwork for that yet, but I also haven't made any payments while I've been working for the government yet. So
yeah, I think
I'll start that next month.
You have to like make payments for 10 years for that, right?
It's 120 payments.
So,
which is 10 years, right? Yeah. Whatever it is, which I made like 4 payments before my loans went on deferral. So I'm like, and I think it's like
only 116 left to go.
But I was like, you have to fill out all this paperwork that like verifies your work for the government and stuff. So I may just start over. But I also, we're way off topic now, but I don't have enough student loans that I feel like when I did the math last time, like after I pay for 10 years, like I'm only going to owe like $1,000. So it's not like a huge benefit for me personally. If I was a normal law student who had like $200,000, $300,000 of loans, it would make a bit. But I have like 94,000.
We're almost twins. I think I have 97 in like principal right now, plus like whatever interest is over. So yeah, if you're paying like so it's like whatever plan they give you, even if it's just a little bit extra, you'll probably be done before 20 years
it's
anyway.
a good program for people who have a lot of loans, but not really for me.
which is unfortunate that we're like $100,000. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's
easy.
great. I love it here. Anyway, how about your recent read?
My recent read was Release Me, which is the newest book in the second gen Shatter Me series. And the first book last year was in my top 10. I loved it. I binged it in a day. One of my favorite books. This book I still really liked, but I did not like it near as much as Watch Me. I gave it 4 stars and I still binged it in a day. It's just her writing is so easy to read and just flows that you don't even realize like how much you've read, I feel like. But I did feel like the middle of this was really slow and not a lot was happening. And I still like, I could read about these characters eating a cheeseburger. Like, I love the characters so much, but I still wanted something. And then the last like 15% was absolutely psychotic and so much was happening. But I would have liked that more throughout the whole thing.
Pacing
But-
was just lackluster.
Yes, but still 4 stars, and I still like I love those characters so much. And we got more of our characters from Shatter Me in this book because we got like Aaron Warner's point of view, and we saw more of Nazira and Kinji. So it felt way more nostalgic, but I just wanted a little more.
That's also hard when you liked the first book so much. It's like,
Yes,
unless it's pretty much perfect, you're gonna be
yeah, it had a lot to live
disappointed.
up to. So, but I feel like I had several books like this that were like sequels that I loved the first book so much they were in my top 10s, and none of them have really lived up. And that's why like I have Rights to the Starling and I haven't started it yet because I'm so scared that I'm not gonna love it as much as I loved Shield of Sparrows, especially after Release Me. So I'm just like, we're just gonna wait a little longer to dive in.
Kind of spooked you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard too when you're reading books as they get released because you have so much longer to like sit and build your expectations
Yes.
and get excited about them. So, yeah, I solved that problem by just never reading anything on time. So you could try that. My recent read was Wing of the Starlight by Allison Saft. I don't know how to say her name. This is a book published by Disney, which is interesting. Were you like a Pixie Hollow girl? Do you know what that is? Okay.
I know what it is, but I was not one.
I was super into it. I had like the Nintendo DS game and I'd play like
I love
on
that.
the like website or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically set in the world of Pixie Hollow. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's before like Tinkerbell and Squad were
I think you're
ever
right.
there, but it's really fun. I actually almost included this as one of my favorite worlds just because I don't feel like we get a lot of fae, but not a lot of like fairies.
Yeah.
And it was just really like fun and nostalgic because it felt like coming back to like a world I'm already very, very familiar with, just like from the recesses of my 12-year-old brain. And so it was really fun, but I also felt like it had a good plot. It was like a very wholesome YA romantasy, I guess. There wasn't a lot going on plot-wise. Like it was very easy to follow, but it was still like fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a good time reading that. I don't remember. I think I bought it literally because of the cover. So I had no
I was going to
idea.
say the cover you posted on your story, it's so whimsical and pretty, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I would absolutely like buy it again just because of the cover. And I think it came out like close to a year ago, over a year ago. And the next one's supposed to come out this summer, but I don't know what it's going to be about. Like it's very much a closed story where we left it. So I don't know if it's following new characters or what. I've done no research. But yeah, so that was just a very fun, like nostalgic read, even though, new story, just same world. And I feel like it's so hard to do things that feel like unique now. So that was a nice kind of,
like a breath of fresh air.
That was me taking the breath of fresh air.
Okay, let's dive in to our favorite worlds. So we both just kind of picked 5 of our favorite worlds, and I personally changed my 5 like 6 times while I was preparing for this episode because I had like all fantasy, and then I had some romance ones shoved in, and then I thought of some new ones that I liked a little more. So I finally settled on 5 fully fantasy worlds. But Hannah has something a little different.
Yeah, so I kind of went about this as like, obviously there's a lot of worlds I really like enjoy, but usually in fantasy they're like very brutal or there's like something wrong with them that would make me like not want to actually like live there. So I tried to like narrow it down for myself by thinking of like where would I actually like to like have the ability to go, and that made a big difference to me because there's a lot of violence out there, kids. So yeah, and we'll kind of go through these one by one, so I'll be able to explain slightly more. But yeah, all of these are from fictional books, just not fantasy for me in all situations.
Okay, so I'll do my first one first because it's really similar to Hannah's first one. So my world is Valaris, which is part of Prithian, but I just specifically only want to go to Valaris. I don't really care about any of the other places. I just want to go there. I think the Night Court is made for me. I think it is in my blood, and I would like to go there personally.
Do you want to tell them what book or series that's
Oh,
from?
yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. I feel like it should be known, but if you are one of the few people in the world who have not read ACOTAR and the rest of the books in the series, Valaris is from ACOTAR, but you don't get introduced to it until A Court of Mist and Fury. So, really, you'd have to read the first 2 books to know what I'm talking about. But it is literally just like this dreamy, night-centered world with all the stars, and I don't know. There's like the picture that goes around online of the place in Switzerland or wherever where they're like, this is what it would look like, and that's my whole vision. I just want to go there.
Yeah, I forget what that city is. Shoot. We did
I
not
just
go
always
there.
say
I know
the
that.
City of Lights, which is not what it's called, but that's what I think of it as.
Yeah, and Valaris is like not even technically, I guess, the capital city. Well, it's no longer cloaked, but anyway.
Yeah.
You should read those books if you haven't. My first world along those same lines, just more zoomed out, is Prithian as a whole, which is the entire Fae realm one of the Fae continents, I guess, from A Court of Thorns and Roses. And primarily there's like different, they're not like states, they're called courts, but functionally states that have different like themes. So you have the like solar courts and the seasonal courts. Seasonal courts are what they sound like. There's like spring all the time, autumn all the time, winter all the time, summer all the time. And I think each of those sounds really fun to go to. Like, based on the books, I don't think autumn would be like a fun place to be based on who's like in charge. But the idea of perpetual autumn is really appealing to me. And then you have like the summer court, which sounds really pretty, but also very hot. So I don't know that I would want to like live there, but I would love to visit. And then, yeah, same thing with like dawn, day, night. Would love to go, would love to see it. I feel like Prithian has one of the few worlds where it seems like most of the people who are just like average are like, okay, like they're not like dying. There's no like dystopian deadly trial they're all a part of. Like it's pretty chill. So that would be a good place for me to be able to actually physically live in, I think, because I'm not going to be out here being a warrior, participating in like army activities.
Which court would you pick to live in if you had to pick one? And it doesn't have to be based on like the book just like thinking of the world.
Probably autumn or dawn.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty firm on those two.
I would be night or summer.
I would definitely not be spring.
No, I would rather jump off a cliff.
I wouldn't hate winter, but I think being there long term would probably not work out that well for me.
I would visit winter. I would not live there.
And obviously we like have really positive associations with the Night Court, but when I think of like actually being in the Night Court, Valaris is like the only place that would be good to like live in, and that's like a very small part of the Night Court. So I'm like, yeah. So I think I'll stick with that. Autumn or dawn.
I think those are good choices for you. My next world is Elfheim from the Folk of the Air series, which is totally against what Hannah said she chose her worlds for, because I would most likely die there instantly or very soon after going to it. But I just think like
there's
Holly
no humans
Blacks,
there for everyone wondering.
And when they are there, they are not treated well by the fairies and the fae and all the creatures there. But I just think Holly Black's world building is some of my favorite world building in the world. See what I did there? Because it's so rich and imaginative and immersive, and I just loved reading about Elfheim. Like, I could have lived in her world building alone. Like, I just think it's beautiful.
And I think for Elfheim, at least, there's truly like no other book comp that I've read that you could be like, this is really similar to Elfheim. Like, it's its own thing.
Yes, I think it's so unique and so fun, and I just love reading about it.
She does a really good job building it, especially throughout. I mean, now she's kind of expanding into a sequel series, but she really didn't have a lot of books to like craft it and did a really good job making it very, we'll say, potent without having a lot of pages to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the original series is 3 books, and I mean, the first one's like almost 400 pages, but the last 2 are not longer than 300, I don't think, or 350. And she literally expands this world
all across for fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. And she really expands the world, and it doesn't feel lackluster in any way. I personally felt like I thought each of the worlds and places you visit were all very developed and like served a purpose versus just being like, and now we're in a tree. Isn't that cool? So I just I really enjoy it.
My next one, I put like the world of Outlander, which if you've read Outlander really is just like Scotland in 1743. But I think it's more the idea that like you can go to a place to like time travel that sounds appealing to me versus like specifically I want to be in Scotland in 1743 because that was not a great spot to be. Like we didn't have showers for one. People were like not doing the best with hygiene, germs, these kinds of things. So you were still getting taken out by like a common cold. You know what I mean? So that's not ideal. There's clearly the ability to time travel between a lot of different years as I'm progressing in this series. So I think that's something I would like. And I love Scotland. So Scotland in all forms is fine with me. Yeah. That's where I went with my second one. But kind of same thing. I feel like it's just a world that's been built really well. Diana Gabaldon really takes her time with taking you along with a lot of like, there's not a ton of authors for me that I feel like you get to know everything through her character's eyes as opposed to just being like, all right, now this is the description section. Okay, now back to dialogue. So she does a really good job with that.
Can't wait to read it one day. I say as I look at it on my floor. Anyway, my next world is the Bridge Kingdom world in general, but specifically Ithaca. That is one of my favorite, like, fictional cities, countries, worlds, whatever you want to call it, because I think it's really different than other home countries in the fact that it's very, the way the book's set up, not to just, like, give you a whole plot summary, but Ithaca is basically this country that's set around this bridge that controls all of the trade through all these different countries. And so you get off the bridge, and Ithaca is very rural and very dangerous, and there's these giant snakes and giant sharks, and it's just, I feel like a lot of times you read fantasy worlds and, like, the main city is very developed and ahead of the times, and this one is not. Like, the Bridge Kingdom, these people are out there fighting for their lives every day.
Yeah.
And I just think that I, again, would not survive. I'm not survival material, but I think it would be fun to visit and see it and experience it for the short amount of time I would be there.
Fair. Yeah, I would die very shortly.
I feel like I might be able to survive a little bit because
I don't
my
feel
dad,
that way about myself.
My dad has taught, like, I know how to shoot a gun. I went to a gun class just this last week, actually. So I know how to shoot a gun. I know how to, like, eat berries and gross stuff, but I don't really want to. And I feel like if my choice is, like, survive off leaves and berries or go home to Jesus, I'm probably going to pick go home to Jesus. Like, that's just, my dad's always like, I would love to survive in the apocalypse. And I'm like, why? Like, you could just die and go to heaven. That would be so much better than trying to survive. Like, I just, nope.
You're like, you go, Brian.
Yep. I'm like, have fun, Dad. I will not be there with you. But yeah, anyway, I would still like to experience it for however long I could go.
That's kind of the same thing as Elfame. I feel like she's very creative. There's not another world I can think of that compares to that at all.
Yes.
Which I'm sure means people will start copying it soon.
Most likely.
My next two are my like non-fantasy ones, I guess. So first I put the world of the Simple Wild series, which is functionally Alaska with like fictional small towns across different places in Alaska. I think we end up in Wasilla, but it's more just for like the weather, the vibes, the small town community feel, and like manly men are basically what comprise this world. So I'm here for that.
Go to Alaska.
I know. We talk about it because it's actually very easy to be an attorney in Alaska because there's not very many of them.
I actually know 3 people I went to law school with, that are now attorneys in Alaska, which is weird, but
it's a growing market. Yeah. I would totally move up there, but, you know, there's other complications to that. So we'll see.
So my next one is the Shire from The Hobbit. Really, Middle Earth in general would be cool to visit all of it. One of my bucket lists is to go to New Zealand and visit all of the filming from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit series. Like, I would be in nerd heaven. But specifically, the Shire is where I think I would most like to live out of all these fictional worlds. Just give me a little hobbit hole and a little garden and my books, and I just live in my little hobbit hole. That would be great.
You're basically a hobbit now, just without
Literally.
the Shire. Yeah.
Like, I've never felt more seen by a fictional creature than I did by hobbits. First breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies.
live on
books.
enough land, you could build your own little, like,
Don't tempt me.
hobbit hut. I think you should. That'd be so cool.
I
If
was
you
like,
do it,
that's
like, back on one of the, like, walking paths,
yeah, that would be cool
you should do
one
that.
day. I was like, but that literally, like, I love the Shire. I love J.R.R. Tolkien. I think he's one of the all-time greatest literary masterpiece geniuses, whatever you want to call him. Like, he is amazing. His world building is unmatched, and I love the Shire.
My next one, kind of along the same lines as The Simple Wild, is Chestnut Springs, which is, again, a fictional, like, ranch-centric sort of small town that's supposed to be in, I think, Alberta, Canada, I want to say.
Yeah, in Canada somewhere.
Yeah, but I would take, like, Montana, Wyoming, really anywhere in, like, the West. And same thing. It's more just for, like, the small town vibes. I feel like I've been very attracted to, like, slow living recently, where, like, you're not on your phone constantly responding to, like, emails.
Yes.
And there's lots of, like, wildlife, animals, things to do with your hands, crafting. Like, that appeals to me a lot. Yeah, but really it's, like, the people, I think, in this world that made it, like, what it is. So if it didn't come with the right cast of characters, this would probably be a no for me, but I think we could get there.
I almost put Chestnut Springs on my list too. Like, that was one of the non-fantasy worlds I had because, yeah, I'm a small town girl anyway. I grew up in a small town, and now I live in Oklahoma City, which is like the small town version of the city. So it's like the best of both worlds. And yeah, I am small town country South girl in my bones. So that's what I love. So I definitely, Chestnut Springs is just, I love that kind of world. Like you said, like Montana, like I'm a small town Montana girl. I mean, these are all small town Montana books right here. Like, it's my fave.
I was born in small town Montana, so it's really just going back to my roots, you know?
Hey. Okay, my final world is the Kingdom of Blunder, which is from One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And again, this is one that, I think it was my fan that was doing that. Yes, okay. Anyway, my last world is the Kingdom of Blunder from One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And again, this is one that I don't know if I would survive very long in. I feel like I have a better chance of surviving here than I did in Ithaca, as long as I don't go into the woods.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think that Rachel Gillig is such a master at the craft of gothic atmospheric worlds. And I feel like this, again, it was one that was so unique and so different from a lot of other fantasy books I was reading. And the world just felt like I could see it in front of my eyes. Like, I just felt dropped into there with the way she described things and the feelings that her words evoked. And I ate it up. I thought it was truly so much fun.
I almost put this one on my list too, and then I was thinking about the, like, deadly mists and stuff, and I was like, better not. But I agree with you. I think Rachel Gillig is, like, so good at writing atmospheric, really, like, lyrical worlds.
I was gonna say, we've been talking about how we, like, well, you didn't put worlds that you thought you might die in, and or at least have a very high chance of dying in. And then I put worlds that I did. What's crazy is I almost put Panem from the Hunger Games.
Jeez. I mean, depending on what district you're in, that might not be, like, a horrible place to be.
I'm like, I just think it is. I love a dystopian world, and I think that's my favorite dystopian world, and I go back to revisiting it all the time. Like, literally yesterday, I was like, I think I want to do a Hunger Games reread. And I'm like, it's a terrible place to be, most likely, especially if you're in the districts and a child. But
I want to reread them before Sunrise on the Reaping comes out, I think.
Same.
At least, like, the original trilogy and Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yeah, I don't really need to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes ever again, to be honest.
You rated it higher than I did. I was just so bored.
I think I gave it 3.5.
I'll watch the movie again.
Yeah, that's one of the few times where I think the movie is better than the book. Because the movie still got all of the main parts of the book and then made the boring parts better.
Yeah.
I just wanted more of the Hunger Games. Like, that's what I'm reading for, as disturbing as it sounds. Like, give me the death matches. That's the point of the books.
Okay, my last one that I put is The World of Percy Jackson, which, if you've read Percy Jackson, you know is literally just our world, except that there's still a bunch of, like, demigods and Greek and Roman and all of these different gods that are, like, controlling everything and making kids who go to, like, camps to basically learn how to, like, fight fictional monsters and all that, because all of the stories are true from, you know, Odysseus and the Iliad and all that. So I think the actual, like, camp Half-Blood sounds fun.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that it would be super fun to be like running for your life constantly. I think they like calculated or said somewhere that like barely like half of half-bloods ever make it to like adulthood. So obviously it's not like great odds generally, but at camp I think sounds really fun. So that's where I would want to hang out, which I
No,
think is on like Long Island, New York or something like that.
I think
But
so.
it's in its own little area. So that's what I put.
No, I think it's been so long since I read Percy Jackson, and I only ever read the first. I don't think I read the final book in that series.
I think when we talked about it, you said you were reading them as they came out and then fell off for whatever reason. And I think you haven't read 4 or 5.
Yeah, was it the Battle of the Labyrinth?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
4.
Yeah, never read that one. I have them all upstairs because I bought them for my cousin last year for her birthday, and then I bought myself a copy too of like a box set, and I was like, we can read them together, and I've just never done it with her.
You should.
But
I really
I
love
want to
those
reread
books.
them. I love rereading like childhood books. Like I love rereading Harry Potter. I love rereading The Hunger Games. Childhood. I mean, I read that in middle school, but still. I love rereading Percy Jackson. I think I will at least. I just like diving back into like those nostalgic feelings.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those where like Rick Riordan's really good at writing humor that's like funny to kids and adults. And it starts obviously middle grade. Like you could easily give those to like a 4th, 5th, 6th grader without having to worry about like content. But I think it's entertaining enough to like appeal to all kinds of audiences. And then the sequel series is definitely like YA. They're all like 17, 18 by that point and older. So love those books. I feel like for me, when I read them when I was younger, that was the first thing that I felt like hit me in terms of like entertainment on the same level that Harry Potter did, which I am still a huge Potterhead. So that's like a big compliment.
What age did you start reading Percy Jackson?
It was after I'd read Harry Potter. So I was probably like 12. Yeah, because the last Harry Potter book came out when I was 11. So that would check out.
I just remember buying The Lightning Thief at a Scholastic book fair.
I was a library kid. All of my books came from the library. So I think it's just one I saw sometime and read. It was before the movies came out too, because I remember being very unimpressed.
The movies were not good.
No, I haven't watched the new show that came out on Disney Plus, I think, a couple of years ago. They're on season like 3 now or something like that. And it's supposed to be following the book better, but I don't know that they succeeded in that. So I'll have to
My
watch
cousin
that.
loves it, but she's never read the book. So she was like, Percabeth will be the death of me. And I was like, please calm down. You're 14.
I mean, that was literally me on Tumblr when I was 14. So for our closing topic today, we're going to be hitting you with some unpopular opinions since it's been a while since we did that.
And you know I got a lot of them.
What do you have for us today?
So today, what's crazy is I just posted this on my book talk today. So it was in the air that I needed to talk about it. And my unpopular opinion is that people online complaining about spoilers is just as annoying to me as actual spoilers. I feel like anytime a new book comes out, my feeds on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube are just flooded with people being like, I hate people who spoil. If you spoil, you're rotten, blah, blah, blah. Don't spoil. And I'm just like, we get it. Can we make any other content? Like, I see more of the posts about people spoiling than I ever do of actual spoilers. And I just find both equally annoying. And I know that's unpopular, and people are going to be like, wow, that's so insensitive of you. It's unpopular for a reason. And that's my opinion.
I feel like I very rarely see like outright spoilers for things that haven't already been out for like multiple years. Like, I do think that it's rude if you post something that's like blatantly a spoiler without some kind of warning, but I also do believe in, personal responsibility and agency where like if a spoiler is really going to ruin your entire experience for this piece of media, then it's kind of your responsibility to watch it in full before hopping on the internet when like, especially in the world of algorithms where it's like, it's not even so much like, oh, can I trust the creators I follow? It's like anything could pop up in your feed. So there's nothing anybody but you truly can do about it to like prevent that. So I have been spoiled a time or two, and sometimes it's a bummer, but it doesn't like impact whether or not I'm gonna like throw a tantrum and like just give up on like reading that book. I agree.
Yeah, and like I just don't, in my own personal reading, like I don't find spoilers that big of a deal. I just don't get that, mostly because I end up spoiling things for myself all the time.
And for me.
and for Hannah on accident, that's actually not on purpose. Because I was about to say, but I intentionally try not to spoil other people because it is rude. Even if I don't find them a big deal, other people do, so I don't want to do that. But then I just get annoyed with how much we talk about them. Like, I just don't care. I really don't.
I also think, like, the people who are going to post spoilers without warnings are not the people that need to be reminded not to do that. Like, they're going to,
Yeah, they
people
don't
who
care.
do that are going to do it anyway. So,
yeah. Also, I think that we have this is getting into the weeds here, but we have expanded spoilers to, like, literally anything that happens in a book. And I'm like, the most mundane aspects of a book are not spoilers. Like, big plot points, deaths, big relationship changes, those are spoilers. But, like, the fact that she visited a world is not really a spoiler when you, like, know what the book is about. They're like, oh my gosh, you posted about how she's reading in this castle. I'm like, okay, that's not that's literally the most minute part of the plot. Like,
I feel like my unpopular opinion is sort of along those same lines, but I'm looking at, like, broader context, which is I hate this trend of, like, policing what people choose to post or not post, particularly on their, like, book or fandom centered pages. I think there's a lot of assumptions that often take place on social media. If, like, there's a trend to post how you feel about, you know, a certain actor, something political that happened, a current event, whatever it might be, that, like, oh, if this person's not speaking up, obviously that means they, like, disagree or don't care. And I think that's a very, I don't want to say, like, reductive, maybe, like, narrow view of things, especially for people you don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever once posted really anything political on my page ever. So if anyone was going to take my silence as me being one way or another on something, like, that would be probably inaccurate. And the same is true for a lot of other things that, like, people can choose to speak out on or not. Like, when we were in the middle of, this is kind of died down, but I think of, like, the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni drama. Like, I'm sure a lot of people had their own opinions on that weren't saying anything. It doesn't mean we, like, support sexual harassment or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think if you are going to follow people on the internet, this, like, parasocial relationship of expecting them to, one, agree with you about everything, but two, like, publicly post every single opinion that they have about anything that happens, that's not what Bookstagram or Book Talk or BookTube or whatever is for most people. And vice versa, right? If someone chooses to talk about something outside of those topics, obviously you have the right to unfollow them if you want to do that, but that doesn't mean that they aren't allowed to have those opinions. So basically, let people do what they want, is my unpopular opinion.
which is really unpopular in today's world.
Yes, it is. I feel like it comes up so often, especially in the book space, just because people obviously read about things that interest them. And so it does bleed into other areas of life naturally, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you're only allowed to post things that agree with my opinion, or else you must be evil, wrong, bad, not able to participate anymore in my bookish bubble or whatever it might look like. So that's where I'm at. Kind of not a very fun note to end on.
But a poignant one.
So that's why we started our podcast, to just yap about whatever we feel like yapping about.
Yeah, because this is ours and we can do what we want.
And I think that's it for today's episode. Anything else we need to do?
This is in April, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this will be the one that's this week. Which I guess we didn't even say this. The reason that we did this topic was because it's Earth Day tomorrow when this will be posted.
Yeah, I will get it. Earth Day, favorite world.
It's because we're so clever.
Anyway, don't forget that our book club this month is The Nightingale, which Hannah has not even started yet.
That's true. I have not, but I will.
But we will discuss it next week?
Yeah.
So she's going to get on that and finish it as fast as possible. And we'll be back next week with our book club and diving in. And we can't wait.
See you then. Bye, guys. That's it for today's episode of Chapter Chats. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Chapter Chats Pod.
And you can find me, Bree, at Brazen and Bookish on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Hannah, at Bookshelvish on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Substack.
Or you can email us at chapterchatspod@gmail.com with book recommendations, episode ideas, or just to say hi.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, follow, and subscribe on your favorite platform.
Catch you next chapter.